Hi everyone, to another video today. I didn't say a word, but if you're here, you want to see light and shadow. Hi, how are you? Hi everyone, so today's video is all about light and shadow. On part one, we did blending, and if you want to check that out, check the the thingy on the corner that's there, video, or click on the description, and there's like a video there for the part one. And on this one, I've now blended the background a little bit better, because before anything else, don't forget to leave a like down below, subscribe, show me some love. I'm showing you some love too, and yeah, tell me that you want to keep seeing more tips and tricks and what do you want me to do. I don't know. And by the way, follow me on Instagram. That's a cool place to follow me, just so you know. I post all my artwork there. And yeah, okay, let's jump into the thing. I don't know. When we left off, the background looked a little bit weird. So it looked like this. That was weird. So I took the blur off so we could work a little bit more. I put the background into its own folder. I put the subject into its own folder, and I merged the corners so it's a more cohesive piece. And for today, I'm going to show you my techniques, or whatever I use to create light and shadows, and how I create a more artistic take on that. First things first, now I have my subject and my background all separated. The first thing I want to do is create a little bit of separation between the background and the subject. And for that, I'm going to go with my brush, with a big brush. I'm going to make it 50% opacity. I'm going to make it 25% flow. Grab that color. Let me go open the colors. Okay, let me grab that color. Boop. Let's go to complementary colors. I'm gonna go with the pink and just separate my subject. I like to do this thing where when I'm creating a piece, I tend to, like, right from the get-go, use the same colors from the start to finish. And I try to go with either with the complementary, I don't know English, complementary color scheme, or with a triad, just because it fits better in my opinion, and like it pleases the eye. So I'm going with the pink, and I'm gonna go and paint a little bit in the background, just to like create a bit of separation. I'm painting on the areas I see light. And since we know that much, I'm gonna go to blur motion, because I want it to be a very directional with the light. So I'm gonna go with, let's see, maybe 1500. That's a good, yeah, that's good. Okay, 1500. I'm gonna go and do luminosity and drop it to like 50%. And since it's a complementary color, it's gonna be basically going against the green, and it creates this faded effect that I personally enjoy. So now that we have a bit of separation, I'm gonna be creating like a dual light source kind of thing. So I'm gonna be creating a rim light, because I see a lot of people wanting that in the next video. And for this one, I'm gonna just focus on the directional light and like the ambient light. So here, let me grab this brush, make it smaller so I can teach you something. We can see here, like, I'm trying to paint the light on this direction. Like, make the light gonna hit her like here. Like, maybe I could even like turn her around, and that will match the direction I want. So let's try to do that. I'm gonna grab the folder and just flip her around. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so she's now flipped. Let's see if that matches a little bit better. Let's look at the model. Okay, on the original photo, we have shadows already, right? We have shadows here on this side, here, We have shadows here. Like, these are the darker areas. She has shadows on this side of the hand. She has shadows there, there. And we can see that, oh, that's not the right brush, okay. We can see that she has light coming from somewhere in the back, because if you see the edges, the rims of like every single flap, they have light. That tells me that the light is coming somewhere around here. So that's what I'm gonna try to mimic while creating my fictional light. But since this is an artistic piece, I'm gonna do it from the top. I'm gonna paint some of the hair. I'm gonna try to like match the already existing light on her and play with that a little bit. So for that, first things first, I'm gonna create a new adjustment layer, curves, and I'm gonna raise the middle to a little bit, yeah, like that. That seems fair enough to me. I'm gonna invert the layer mask, and I'm gonna create a new one, curves, and do the opposite. So I'm gonna lower it right in the middle and invert that layer mask again. Okay, select the two of them, put them over the group so it's outside of the group, and we can mask them to the group. Mask them? No, clip it to the group. And I'm gonna just create toggle the black and white on. Jesus Christ, where's my English today? So now with the soft round brush, and I'm gonna rename this. So this is the highlight or light, whatever you want to call it, and this is shadow. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna try to clean some of the shadows and clean some of the lights on the opposites. So here on this area, there's no reason for me to have like a lighter tones because the light is coming from here. I don't want this to be in light, so we need to use the shadows curves to match that and do the opposite to the back cover because we want the light to be hitting that. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. The way to fix this is you want to match the darkest values on the areas that you want to highlight with the higher values and do the opposite to the other side. So everything matches and you basically are trying to create like a clean canvas. If I was gonna do this for real, I would probably create a new curves layer, and like I would raise that again, clip it to the other one, invert that, and I would like do some touch-ups, really like I would go in and like actually try to fix it. So I would like these areas right here, I would light them up a little bit because they don't really match. Like, and this is a process that you can take hours to it doing. If I uncheck the black and white, you can see like this is before and this is after. Like I'm completely painting it, but it's not very destructive. Going back to this, basically match everything, and just to show you how to do it for the shadows as well, I'm gonna do the opposite, go really dark, invert that layer mask, clip it, pressing Alt and clicking on the other one, or just clicking on that little icon. I'm gonna go to the front, and like these areas right here, these ones where it's like lighter, I would go and like really spend my time matching all of that to the rest. And that's how you create the realistic take on like a light job. Like this is what you would do to create photo retouching, realistically. Now that we have like a directional light, creating a little bit more of a volume, let's focus on creating like the light on the environment itself. And for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hide the group for the subject. So like the highlight, all the light job we did also hides itself. I'm gonna press Control Shift Alt E, and that creates a merge, or you can just create a new layer, go to Image, Apply Image, Merged, and press OK. It's the same thing. And then here, I'm gonna go to Camera Raw Filter. Okay, now in Camera Raw Filter, I'm gonna take the contrast out. I'm gonna drop the exposure a little bit. I'm gonna raise the highlights. And basically I'm gonna like edit the image for the light I want. Okay, so let's say that's good. Let's check that with our model and create a layer mask, invert it, and now I'm going to paint with the soft brush on the areas I want. So I'm going to reintroduce this corner right here because I really like it. Like do a little bit of what's that called? Light rays. Do a little bit of light ray, like create that introduction of light right there, touch it right there. Okay, and now we have a more directional focused image. It's like it's coming from here, we kind of see it. So the next thing I like to do, this is where my artistic vibe comes more into the play. I like to grab colors from the image like that green, go crazy, like lighter with it, like let that green lighter on a new layer, and I'm just gonna start introducing like the opacity of my brush is at 20%. I'm gonna start like introducing some of that into my model on the areas I think light would hit. And in my opinion, that makes it look a lot more realistic because you're introducing the environment into your model or your subject. This is a question of, can you visualize or do you know how to like not go crazy? And if you don't have a lot of practice, my suggestion would be go softer, like build things up. I think most people tend to, so I saw this YouTube video and like the dude grabbed the brush and he did like the soft brush and did like bam, oh that's dope. It's a start, but like why don't you go in and maybe like clean this side? And maybe like, oh, this is way too much here under the chest and the neck. So let me clean the chest a little bit. Let me clean the hair a little bit. And that's the details that are gonna make your image like stand out because you took the time to clean your image to make it look realistic enough, but still manage to give me some surrealism. So now I'm gonna paint with some black, or maybe if I'm like bold enough, I'm gonna select like some of the darker values here because if you see they are not fully black, they have like touches of the colors from the environment. That's always better. Always play with the colors of your environment. And maybe like I can even do some projected shadow. Remember, shadows are not perfect. Even if they look perfect, they're not. and I'm gonna change that to soft light 50%, and like that creates a little shadow. It's very subtle, but it changes things. Let me clean that little bit right here. And this is how like you can make a difference in your story. Like look at like how different that like makes the environment. Another tip you can do, create a new layer, go to edit, fill with black, or just press Shift F5, make it screen so you can't see anything, and then you can paint things in with like a little bit more. Oh, that's not the brush. Like with a 10% opacity, you can start painting like a little more of a glowy vibe if that's what you're going for. And even for like the areas in the back, like if you want to go like a little bit more into the yellow tones, and you can build things up slowly. Build your things slowly. Okay, another tip. You want to do like a ray spot, like a spot of sunlight. I just created like a merge layer, so Shift Control Alt E. Go to Camera Raw. Go ballistic with your exposure. Make it a little bit warmer. Kill the saturation a little bit. Make the shadows lower, so darken those shadows a little bit because it's a high intensity light area. Press OK. Create a layer mask, invert it, and let's say I want like this area right here to be hit by a ray of sun. Let's put the opacity like to 40% with white, so white shows. And let's start building this area where the sun is gonna really hit hard. And you build it around too. Don't build it just like, oh, this is just that spot. No, build it around because light bleeds, and that's how you create something way more realistic. It's just not a blob of light right there. It's the reflections that hit differently like around everything. And if I go zoom out, look at that. Bam, we have one light beam. Introduce some really harsh sun. Like this is another way for you to do it. And you can even like, if you have the patience, you can even go into the model and paint in things. Light is a question of patience, and it's a question of practice, because the techniques are fairly easy. What makes it hard is the time and patience you need to. So let me just go back and talk about everything again. First things first, for me artistically, I like to separate my models or my subjects from the background with a little bit of a foggy look. So with the complementary color, I create like a little bit of a fog behind the model, put it in luminosity. It's going to create a faded effect. That's my first tip. Second tip, create two curves. One, raise the middle point to the highlights. The other one will raise the middle point to the shadows. With a very soft brush and a black and white layer, start matching your values. You want on your darker areas, you want the dark values to match, and your highlighters, or like on the highlight areas, you want the high values to match. Match your values. That's gonna make your piece look way more realistic. That's what like people do for portraits. They match the values on the face, on the skin. After you do that, create two more layers. Go harsher. That's gonna start to be like your artistic light. On your model, you can use the same technique to paint the like environment with. Then if you're like me and you don't really care a lot about like what your light looks like, go crazy. Paint it with soft brushes. like a thing I like to do with my soft brushes is I like to make them elliptical and paint it in the direction whatever like I'm creating, so that makes it a little bit more realistic. Don't be afraid of using colors. Try things out. The fourth tip, it's create like ambience. So make a bigger like brush stroke and then clean it up and study your light, see references. How does light hit your model? How does like light interfere with your environment? Another tip, create a new layer. Make it like fill it with black, put it on screen, paint it with whatever colors you want, and then it's gonna create a glowy effect. Another tip, merge all of your layers, go to camera raw, raise that exposure, drop a little bit of the contrast, raise the highlights or the whites, and drop the shadows or the blacks to create high beam focus points. And yeah, that's all the tips I have for you in terms of light and shadows. On the next video, I'm gonna be showing you the highlights, how I do like the final touches like hair, skin, the color that I use, the glows, all that I'm going to be trying to touch up on the next video, because for me that's like the final details. I showed you all my techniques for light, and now it's time for you guys to use it and try it out on your own projects. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, let me know if you're enjoying this series. If you are, show me what you're doing with it, and I'll be here on the next one. Yeah. See you in the next one. Goodbye.